Calix Vorn stared at the holographic display, his brow furrowed in concentration. The data scrolling before his eyes told a story that didn't make sense. As the lead xenoanthropologist for the Galactic Concordat, he'd spent decades studying primitive species across the cosmos. But this was unprecedented. "Computer, run the simulation again," he commanded, his voice barely above a whisper. The air shimmered as the hologram reconfigured, showing a blue-green planet spinning lazily in the void. Earth, home to a species that, by all rights, should still be flinging rocks at each other and marveling at fire. Instead, "Impossible," Calix exclaimed, slamming his fist on the console. The readings couldn't be right. In just over a century, these humans had gone from horse-drawn carriages to spacecraft, from telegraphs to quantum entanglement communication. Their rate of technological advancement was exponential, and it showed no signs of slowing. A chime at his door interrupted his spiraling thoughts. "Enter," he called out, not taking his eyes off the display. Lyriel Vass, his research assistant, glided into the room. Her iridescent scales shimmered in the low light, a sign of agitation among her species. "Director Vorn, I've compiled the latest reports from our field agents. You need to see this." Calix turned, noting the tremor in Lyriel's voice. "What is it?" She handed him a data crystal, her elongated fingers shaking slightly. "We've detected quantum fluctuations consistent with rudimentary faster-than-light experiments. They're on the verge of cracking the superluminal barrier." The implications hit Calix like a plasma bolt. If the humans achieved FTL travel, there'd be no containing them. They'd explode onto the galactic stage, unpredictable and dangerously innovative. The carefully maintained balance of power that had existed for millennia would shatter. "We need to act," Calix muttered, more to himself than to Lyriel. "The Concordat must be informed. Prep my shuttle. I'm taking this directly to the High Council." As Lyriel hurried to comply, Calix turned back to the hologram. The image of Earth continued its serene rotation, oblivious to the storm it was about to unleash across the stars. He zoomed in, focusing on the night side of the planet. Billions of lights twinkled across the continents, each one representing untold potential, unchecked ambition. "Oh, you clever, terrifying creatures," Calix whispered. "What have you done?" The journey to the Concordat's capital world, Nexus Prime, was a blur of hyperspace and mounting dread. Calix spent the entire trip poring over the data, searching for some flaw in the analysis, some reason to believe they'd overestimated the human threat. He found none. As his shuttle descended through the shimmering atmosphere of Nexus Prime, Calix steeled himself for the battle ahead. The High Council was notoriously slow to act, mired in bureaucracy and ancient traditions. But they had to understand the urgency of this situation. The Great Hall of the Concordat was a marvel of alien architecture, its soaring crystalline spires defying gravity. Representatives from 1,000 worlds milled about, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Calix made his way to the central podium, his heart's racing. "Esteemed members of the High Council," he began, his voice amplified throughout the chamber. "I come before you with news of grave importance. We face a threat unlike any our civilization has encountered in its long history." Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. Calix took a deep breath and continued. "There exists a world on the fringes of explored space, a planet called Earth. Its inhabitants, a species known as humans, have demonstrated a rate of technological advancement that defies all known models of societal evolution. They stand on the precipice of faster-than-light travel, poised to burst onto the galactic stage." The murmurs grew louder, tinged with disbelief and alarm. A hulking, multi-limbed being stepped forward, Groknak the Elder, representative of the militant Vexcar Collective. "Preposterous," Groknak boomed. "No primitive species could advance so rapidly without outside interference. Your data must be flawed, Vorn." Calix shook his head vehemently. "I've triple-checked every calculation, Elder Groknak. The data is irrefutable. These humans, They possess a spark of innovation, a drive to explore and conquer that we've never seen before. If left unchecked, they could upset the balance of power that has maintained peace in our galaxy for eons. Another delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a translucent shell, pulsed with agitation. "What do you propose, Director Vorn? Surely you're not suggesting we violate our most sacred laws and interfere with a pre-FTL civilization?" Calyx hesitated. What he was about to suggest went against everything the Concordat stood for. But the alternative was unthinkable. "Honored delegates," he said, his voice low but firm, "I propose a silent invasion, not with warships and plasma cannons, but with subtle manipulations. We must infiltrate their society, slow their progress, guide them towards stagnation rather than innovation. It's the only way to preserve the cosmic order we've worked so hard to build." The chamber erupted into chaos. Shouts of protest mingled with cries of agreement. Calyx stood firm, watching as the seeds of his plan took root in the minds of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. In a quiet corner of the chamber, unnoticed by the arguing delegates, a hooded figure listened intently. Beneath the shadowy cowl, a pair of human eyes gleamed with a mixture of anger and determination. The Watcher slipped away, vanishing into the throngs of alien diplomats. As Calyx continued to argue his case before the High Council, he remained unaware that his carefully laid plans had already sprung a leak. The first shot in a war for humanity's future had been fired, not with weapons, but with information. Back on Earth, in a nondescript office building in Geneva, a quantum-encrypted transmission arrived. Its contents would shake the foundations of human civilization and set in motion a chain of events that would alter the course of galactic history. The message was simple, yet it carried the weight of worlds. We are not alone, and we are not safe. As night fell over Earth, billions of humans went about their lives, blissfully unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding above their heads. But in secret laboratories and hidden bunkers, a select few began to prepare for a fight they never knew was coming. The silent invasion had begun, but humanity, as it always had, would find a way to survive, to thrive, and ultimately to fight back. Little did the Galactic Concordat know, they had just awakened a sleeping giant, and the universe would never be the same. Dr. Eloan Karis rubbed her tired eyes, staring at the lines of code scrolling across her monitor. For months, she'd been chasing anomalies in global communication patterns, convinced that something wasn't right. But this was beyond her wildest theories. "Holy SHIT, she exclaimed, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Zura, get in here now!" Zyra Knox, Eloan's research partner, and the other half of their two-person crackpot division at the Global Defense Initiative, burst into the room. "What is it? Did you crack it?" Eloan spun in her chair, her eyes wild with a mixture of excitement and terror. "Remember that quantum fluctuation we detected last month? The one everyone said was just equipment malfunction? It wasn't random noise. It was a signal." Zyra's eyes widened. "You mean?" "Exactly," Eloan nodded grimly. "We're not alone, and whoever's out there, they don't want us to know they exist." The next 72 hours were a blur of frantic activity. As Eloan and Zyra dug deeper, a chilling picture began to emerge. Subtle manipulations in global markets, unexplained setbacks in key scientific fields, influential people making decisions that, in hindsight, slowed humanity's progress. "It's like they're trying to keep us down," Zyra muttered, poring over their findings. "But why? What are they afraid of?" Before Eloan could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and the pneumatic doors hissed shut. "Security breach in Sector 7, an automated voice announced. All personnel evacuate immediately." Eloan and Zyra shared a look of panic. Sector 7 was where they kept the quantum entanglement communicator, their most closely guarded secret. "They're here," Eloan whispered. "We have to dash." The door exploded inward in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. Through the smoke stepped a figure that defied description. Not quite solid, not quite energy, its form shifting and writhing in ways that hurt the eyes. "Your meddling ends now, humans." The creature's voice resonated directly in their minds, dripping with disdain. Zyra lunged for the emergency beacon, but a tendril of energy lashed out, searing her arm. She screamed in agony. Aloan's hand inched towards the underside of her desk, where a hidden button waited. One push, and their findings would be broadcast to every major news outlet and government agency on the planet. It was a last resort, one that would likely get them labeled as crackpots or traitors. But faced with this otherworldly threat, she knew they had no choice. The alien entity's attention snapped to Aloan, sensing her intent. "Foolish creature," it hissed. "You have no idea what forces you're dealing with." Time seemed to slow. Aloan's finger hovered over the button. The alien's tendrils of energy coiled, ready to strike. And then, a deafening boom shook the room. The far wall crumbled, and through the dust and debris strode a figure in powered armor, weapon at the ready. "Step away from the scientists," a modulated voice commanded, "or I'll show you what humanity is capable of." The alien world, its form rippling with fury. "Impossible! How did you dash?" A burst of plasma erupted from the newcomer's weapon, catching the entity square in its shifting mass. It screeched, a sound that threatened to shatter their sanity, before collapsing into a puddle of rapidly evaporating ooze. As the echoes faded, the armored figure turned to Aloan and Zyra. The helmet retracted, revealing a face etched with scars and eyes that had seen too much. "Dr. Karras, Ms. Knox," the woman said, her voice gravelly. "I'm Commander Arcturus. Welcome to the Resistance." The next few hours were a whirlwind of revelations. Commander Arcturus, it turned out, was part of a secret organization that had been fighting this silent invasion for years. They'd intercepted the transmission from the Galactic Concordat and had been working tirelessly to counter the alien influence. "But why US?" Zyra asked as they were ushered onto a stealth VTOL. "Why come for us specifically?" Arcturus's lips quirked in a humorless smile. "Because you two were getting dangerously close to the truth. And because we need minds like yours if we're going to have any chance of winning this war." As the VTOL rose into the night sky, cloaking fields rendering it invisible, Aloan stared out the window at the glittering cityscape below. Millions of people, going about their lives, unaware of the cosmic battle being waged in the shadows. "So what now?" she asked, turning back to Arcturus. The commander's eyes blazed with determination. "Now, we wake up the rest of humanity. It's time to show these aliens why they should have left US alone." Across the globe, other scenes were unfolding. In a top-secret lab in Osaka, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka stared in awe at the device before him. A prototype FTL drive that shouldn't have been possible. Yet here it was, defying everything he thought he knew about physics. In the Amazon rainforest, anthropologist Amara Santos made first contact with an isolated tribe, only to discover they possessed knowledge of advanced mathematics that predated known human civilization. And in the depths of the Marianas Trench, a research submarine stumbled upon the ruins of an ancient alien outpost, hidden for millennia beneath the waves. The pieces were falling into place. Humanity was on the cusp of a great awakening, but the forces arrayed against them were vast and ruthless. The Galactic Concordat had no intention of allowing these upstart primates to upset the cosmic order they'd so carefully cultivated. As Aloan, Zyra, and their new allies raced against time to unravel the full extent of the alien manipulation, a question burned in their minds. Could humanity overcome its divisions and unite in the face of this existential threat? Or would we remain oblivious, puppets dancing to an alien tune? The next few months would decide not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the galaxy itself. And at the heart of it all, a species that had clawed its way from caves to the stars in the blink of a cosmic eye prepared to show the universe what it was truly capable of. The silent invasion was about to become a roar that would echo across the cosmos. Humanity was awake, and it was angry. The underground facility hummed with activity, a hive of humanity's best and brightest working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the universe. Dr. Eloan Karras stood before a holographic display, her eyes burning with intensity as she manipulated complex equations with a flick of her wrist. "There," she exclaimed, stepping back to admire her work. "The final piece of the puzzle." Commander Arcturus approached, her scarred face etched with cautious optimism. "You're sure about this, Doctor?" Eloan nodded, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "Positive. The aliens thought they were slowing us down, but they underestimated us. Every obstacle they threw in our path forced us to think differently, to innovate in ways we never would have otherwise." Zyra Knox burst into the room, tablet in hand. "You need to see this," she panted, thrusting the device towards them. "It's happening everywhere." The screen flickered to life, showing news reports from around the globe. In New Delhi, a teenager had developed an AI that could predict natural disasters with uncanny accuracy. A team in Cape Town had created a device that could purify water and generate electricity simultaneously. And in Antarctica, researchers had stumbled upon a method of cold fusion that defied all known laws of physics. "It's like humanity just woke up," Zyra breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. Arcturus's lips tightened into a grim line. "And you can bet the Concordat has noticed. We need to move fast." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed, and a voice crackled over the intercom. "Multiple bogies inbound. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." "Shit," Arcturus spat, already moving towards the command center. "They're making their move. Karras, Knox, get to the lab and finish that prototype. It's our only shot." As Eloan and Zyra raced through the corridors, the facility shook with the impact of alien weaponry. They could hear the distant sound of plasma fire and the screech of tearing metal. They burst into the lab, where a team of engineers were frantically working on a device that looked like a cross between a particle accelerator and a Tesla coil. "Status report," Eloan barked, sliding into her station. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the FTL expert they recruited from Osaka, looked up with wild eyes. "We're close, but the power requirements are off the charts. We need more time." Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. Zyra's fingers flew across her keyboard. "We don't have more time. We need to think outside the box. What if we—" Her voice trailed off as an idea struck her. "Eloan, what if we use the alien attack to our advantage?" Eloan's brow furrowed for a moment before her eyes lit up with understanding. "The plasma discharge, if we can channel it through the prototype dash, we might just generate enough power to kickstart the reaction." Zyra finished, already making the necessary adjustments. The next few minutes were a blur of frantic activity. As the sounds of battle grew ever closer, the team worked with superhuman focus, channeling every ounce of human ingenuity and desperation into their task. Suddenly, the lab doors burst open. Commander Arcturus staggered in, her armor scorched and dented. "We can't hold them much longer," she shouted over the din of combat. "Whatever you're going to do it now." Eloan's hand hovered over the activation switch. This was it. Months of work, the hopes of an entire species, all riding on this moment. She took a deep breath and pressed the button. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the prototype roared to life, arcs of energy dancing across its surface. The air itself seemed to warp and twist, reality bending under the force of human will and alien technology combined. A blinding flash of light engulfed the room. When it faded, Eloan blinked spots from her vision to see the alien forces frozen in mid-attack, their energy weapons flickering and dying. What do we do?" Zyra whispered, awe and fear mingling in her voice. Hiroshi consulted his readings, his eyes growing wider by the second. "We didn't just create an FTL drive," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. "We've tapped into something more, some kind of fundamental force of the universe." Commander Arcturus strode forward, her battle-hardened face softening with wonder. "You magnificent bastards," she breathed. "You've given us a fighting chance. As the team reveled in their breakthrough, a new alarm sounded. But this one was different, a pulsing, insistent tone that spoke of urgency rather than danger. Zyra rushed to the communications array. "It's a transmission from orbit," she exclaimed, her fingers dancing across the controls. A holographic image flickered to life in the center of the lab. It showed a massive space station, clearly of alien design, hanging in low Earth orbit. But more shockingly, it showed humans aboard, working alongside beings of every shape and description. A figure stepped forward, a woman with silver hair and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. When she spoke, her voice resonated with power and authority. "People of Earth," she began, "I am Admiral Lyra Vega of the Terran Expeditionary Force. We come from your future, a future where humanity has claimed its place among the stars. The Concordat's efforts to suppress your potential have failed. Their actions have only served to forge you into something greater." Gasps and murmurs filled the lab. Eloan felt her head spin with the implications. Admiral Vega continued, her voice filled with fierce pride. "You stand at a crossroads. The choices you make in the coming days will shape not just Earth's destiny, but that of the entire galaxy. We can't interfere directly. The timeline is too fragile. But know this. You are capable of greatness beyond your wildest dreams." The hologram flickered and faded, leaving the room in stunned silence. Commander Arcturus was the first to recover. She straightened, her eyes blazing with newfound determination. "Well," she said, a wolfish grin spreading across her face, "I'd say the gloves are off now. Time to show the Concordat what happens when you back humans into a corner." As word of the transmission spread, a change swept across the planet. The fear and uncertainty that had gripped humanity melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. In every lab, every workshop, every garage and basement, humans threw themselves into pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The Concordat's agents, once hidden in the shadows, found themselves exposed and overwhelmed by the very species they had sought to control. Humanity's potential, long suppressed, exploded into a nova of innovation and courage. And in high orbit, aboard their massive station, the time travelers watched with pride and a touch of envy. They remembered this moment from their history books, the moment when humanity shed its chains and took its first defiant steps towards the stars. The human spark, once a mere flicker, had ignited into a blaze that would reshape the cosmos. The silent invasion had failed, and the universe would never be the same again. As Eloan, Zyra, and their team prepared to unveil their revolutionary technology to the world, a new chapter in human history was about to begin. The age of timidity and ignorance was over. It was time for humanity to roar. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with an energy unlike anything in its long history. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat shoulder to shoulder, their usual political divisions forgotten in the face of a threat and an opportunity that transcended borders. Dr. Eloan Kara stood at the podium, her heart racing as she surveyed the crowd. Behind her, a team of scientists and engineers waited nervously, ready to unveil the fruits of their labor to the world. "Distinguished delegates," Eloan began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "For too long, our species has been manipulated, held back, but no more. Today, we stand on the precipice of a new era." With a nod to her team, a holographic display sprang to life above the assembly. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd as complex schematics and equations filled the air. "This," Eloan continued, her voice rising with passion, "is the key to our future. A fusion of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech. We call it Project Prometheus." As Eloan delved into the technical details, explaining how they cracked the code of faster-than-light travel and tapped into fundamental forces of the universe, the mood in the room shifted. Skepticism gave way to AWE. Doubt transformed into hope. But it was Commander Arcturus, stepping forward in her battle-scarred armor, who drove the point home. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying the weight of hard-won victories, "we stand at a crossroads. The Galactic Concordat believed they could keep us down, contain us, but they failed to understand a fundamental truth about humanity. She paused, her eyes sweeping the room. We do not break under pressure. We adapt. We evolve. And now we fight back. The assembly erupted into cheers and applause. As the sound washed over her, Eloin felt a surge of pride. This was it, the moment everything changed. But even as humanity celebrated its newfound resolve, the Concordat was not idle. High above the earth, cloaked ships shimmered into existence. On board, alien beings watched the proceedings with a mixture of fear and anger. Calix Vorn, the xenoanthropologist who had first warned the Concordat about the human threat, stared at the view screen in disbelief. Impossible, he muttered, his multiple hearts racing. They've advanced decades beyond where they should be. How do we miss this? An aide approached, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. Director Vorn, we're detecting massive energy spikes across the planet. They're preparing for something big. Calix's eyes narrowed. Prep the infiltration teams. We need to shut this down now before dash. His words were cut off by a blinding flash of light. Alarms blared throughout the ship as systems went haywire. On the bridge view screen, a sight that defied belief unfolded. A massive portal, swirling with ethereal energy, had opened in Earth's orbit. And through it came ships, human ships, bearing markings and designs that spoke of centuries of advancement. By the cosmic core, Calix breathed. What have they done? Back on Earth, in secure facilities around the globe, humanity's brightest minds worked feverishly to bring Project Prometheus to life. The revelation of alien manipulation had lit a fire in the human spirit, driving innovation at a pace that would have been unthinkable mere months ago. In a sprawling complex beneath the Sahara, Dr. Amara Santos put the finishing touches on a gravity manipulation device that would revolutionize space travel. Run the final diagnostic, she ordered, her voice tense with anticipation. Her team held their breath as the machine hummed to life. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a whoosh of displaced air, Amara found herself floating gently off the ground. A cheer went up from the assembled scientists. Amara allowed herself a small smile. Another piece of the puzzle locked into place. Meanwhile, in a secret base in the Rocky Mountains, Zyra Nox faced off against an opponent unlike any other, an artificial intelligence of her own creation, designed to outthink and outmaneuver the most advanced alien strategists. Your move, Athena, Zyra said, studying the holographic wargame before her. The AI's response was instantaneous, a series of moves so complex and counterintuitive that Zyra's head spun, trying to follow them. Checkmate in 3 turns, creator, Athena's synthesized voice announced. Zyra grinned fiercely. Perfect. Upload the latest battle simulations to the defense grid. It's time to show the Concordat what real strategy looks like. As humanity's technological leaps sent shockwaves through the galaxy, the response from alien civilizations was varied and intense. Some, long chafing under the Concordat's rigid control, saw the humans as potential allies. Encrypted messages of support and offers of cooperation flooded Earth's newly established subspace communications network. Others, fearful of the upset to the galactic status quo, began to mobilize. Fleets of warships, technologies that had been gathering dust for millennia, were brought out of mothballs and readied for conflict. And through it all, the mysterious time travelers watched from their orbital station, a mix of pride and trepidation in their eyes. They knew the challenges that lay ahead, the trials that would forge humanity into a force to be reckoned with across the cosmos. Admiral Lyra Vega stood on the observation deck, her silver hair gleaming in the starlight. Beside her, a holographic display showed the incredible progress being made on the surface below. They're advancing even faster than our histories recorded, her second-in-command noted, a note of worry in his voice. Lyra's lips quirked in a small smile. Good. They'll need every advantage they can get. As if in response to her words, a massive ship began to take shape in Earth's orbit. A vessel unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, a perfect fusion of reverse-engineered alien tech and audacious human innovation. Its name, emblazoned proudly on its hull, sent a clear message to friend and foe alike. TSV Defiance, humanity's first true starship. A declaration of independence written in steel and fire. As the Defiance prepared for its maiden voyage, carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire species, a message thundered across every communication channel, in every language spoken on Earth. To all who would stand in our way, we are humanity. We will not be contained. We will not be controlled. And we are coming for the stars that are rightfully ours. The universe held its breath, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. For in unleashing their potential, humans have become something new, something terrifying, something unstoppable. The TSV Defiance hung in low Earth orbit. Its sleek lines and pulsing energy fields a testament to humanity's newfound power. On the bridge, Captain Zura Vex stood tall, her dark eyes gleaming with a mixture of pride and determination. "All systems check out, Captain," her XO, Lieutenant Kazuo Ishikawa, reported. "We're ready for the jump." Zara nodded, allowing herself a small smile. "Send the signal. It's time to show the galaxy what we're made of." Across the planet, billions watched with bated breath as humanity prepared to take its first true step into the cosmic arena. In the White House Situation Room, in the Kremlin, in the Great Hall of the People, leaders who had once been bitter rivals now stood united, their faces etched with a common purpose. Commander Arcturus's voice crackled over the comms. "Defiance, you have a go for launch. Give you hell." Zara's grip tightened on the arms of her command chair. "Engage FTL drive. Take us to the heart of Concordat space." The ship's engines roared to life, reality itself seeming to bend and warp around them. In a flash of blinding light, the Defiance vanished from Earth's skies, leaving behind a planet transformed by its brush with cosmic truth. In the depths of space, on a world that had stood as the capital of galactic civilization for eons, alarms blared. The Concordat's High Council, beings of immense power and ancient wisdom, found themselves faced with something they had never truly experienced before. Fear. Calyx Vorn burst into the council chambers, his normally composed demeanor shattered. "Esteemed counselors," he gasped, "the humans, they're here." Before anyone could respond, the chamber's holographic displays flickered to life. The image of a human face filled the air. Captain Zura Vex, her expression one of calm defiance. "Beings of the Galactic Concordat," she began, her voice steady and strong. "For too long, you have manipulated the course of our civilization. You sought to keep us ignorant, to stifle our potential. But in doing so, you have only made us stronger." Murmurs of disbelief and outrage rippled through the council. How dare these upstart primates address them so boldly? Zara continued, undeterred. "We come not for vengeance, but for justice. Not for conquest, but for our rightful place among the stars. You will cease all operations on Earth immediately. You will share with us the knowledge you have hoarded for millennia. And you will acknowledge humanity as equals in this vast cosmos." One of the counselors, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline shell, pulsed with anger. "And if we refuse? You are but one ship, one species, against the might of 1,000,000 worlds." A fierce grin spread across Zara's face. "Are we?" As if on cue, space ripped open behind the Defiance. Through the swirling vortex came ships, hundreds of ships, each bearing the mark of a different alien civilization. Species that had long chafed under Concordat rule, inspired by humanity's audacity, had chosen to cast their lot with the newcomers. And leading the Armada, a vessel that dwarfed even the Defiance, the time traveler's ship, finally revealing itself in all its glory. Admiral Lyra Vega's voice joined Zara's, echoing through the council chambers. "The future is not set, counselors. But know this, in every timeline, in every possible future, humanity rises. You can fight it and be swept aside, or you can embrace change and help usher in a new era of galactic cooperation." For a long moment, silence reigned. Then, slowly, one of the eldest counselors rose. Its form was barely visible, more an idea given shape than a physical being. When it spoke, its voice resonated with the weight of eons. Perhaps, it said slowly, we have grown complacent in our power. Perhaps it is time for new ideas, new energy in our ranks. The council erupted into debate, some arguing for immediate action against the human threat, others counseling caution and diplomacy. But underlying it all was a sense that something fundamental had shifted in the cosmic order. As negotiations began in earnest, humanity's influence spread like wildfire across the galaxy. The shackles of Concordat control, weakened by centuries of resentment, shattered in the face of this new paradigm. On 1,000 worlds, sentient beings looked to the skies with new hope. Humans, so recently confined to their own world, found themselves welcomed as liberators and innovators. Alo and Kara stood on the observation deck of a space station orbiting a distant gas giant, marveling at the riot of alien life forms working alongside human scientists. "Did you ever imagine it would be like this?" Zyra asked, joining her friend at the viewport. Eloan shook her head, a smile playing on her lips. "Never in my wildest dreams. We've only begun to scratch the surface of what's out there." Back on Earth, the changes were no less profound. The revelation of alien life, of humanity's true potential, had sparked a renaissance in every field of human endeavor. Art, science, philosophy, all were transformed by this new cosmic perspective. In a classroom in Nairobi, a young girl dreamed of the day she would set foot on a world orbiting a distant star. In a lab in Buenos Aires, researchers unlocked the secrets of clean, limitless energy. And in the UN General Assembly, now expanded to include representatives from a dozen alien worlds, the framework for a new galactic federation took shape. As years passed, the true impact of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage became clear. We were not conquerors, not saviors, but catalysts. Our boundless curiosity, our drive to explore and understand, our ability to adapt and innovate. These qualities ignited a new age of discovery and cooperation across the cosmos. The Concordat, once all-powerful, found itself transformed. No longer a monolithic entity controlling the flow of knowledge and technology, it became a forum for genuine exchange and mutual advancement. And through it all, humanity continued to push boundaries, to ask questions others had never thought to ask, to dream bigger than any species had dreamed before. A century after the launch of the Defiance, as humans and their allies prepared to take their first steps in intergalactic space, Admiral Lyra Vega, now showing her true age, stood before a gathering of leaders from across the known universe. "We stand at the dawn of a new era," she said, her voice still strong despite the years. "An era born from the spark of human potential, fueled by the combined wisdom of 1,000,000 civilizations. The challenges ahead are great, but together, there is nothing we cannot achieve." As her words echoed across the cosmos, carried by technologies once thought impossible, a simple truth became clear. The universe had awakened, and humanity, in all its glorious, chaotic, innovative spirit, had been the alarm clock. The silent invasion had failed. But in its failure, it had given birth to something far greater than its architects could have ever imagined. A future where the stars themselves were not the limit, but merely the beginning.